Truckie Tuesday is up next, and it's all made possible thanks to GME, the Aussie experts in communication tech for over 65 years. 10-4, good buddies. Whether you're passing vital road info onto the convoy, calling out a hazard ahead, or telling old mate to get off Channel 40 because it ain't a bloody karaoke bar, GME's got the gear to keep your connection steady and crystal clear. Truckie Tuesday is straight ahead. Hey, g'day folks, and welcome to another Truckie Tuesday with the one and only millennial who's looking resplendent this morning. Good to see you've put on the makeup and the glitz, and you've really gone to some preparation for today's podcast. And also a little bit sleepy this morning is Rod Hannafy, who's in Dubbo. He's had a technical glitch. What's happened, brother?
Well, I was going to leave last night, had sent a list of things out for the trailers that I'm taking to Perth, and I got some of them done but found a problem with something else. So got all organised and then couldn't go. So we got that sorted and it's got finished, and then it was too late, and then I thought, well, I will leave after we discuss the life on the road.
Yes, the important issues of the day, and a massive shout out to our new sponsors, GME, the only Australian manufacturers of CB UHF radios. It's funny, I had a chat with Dick Smith on our last podcast, Rod, and we were talking about how Australian manufacturing has kind of gone out the window. Isn't it great that GME are an Australian organisation that manufactures its product?
It certainly is, mate. And, of course, the trucking industry does our bit. We manufacture Kenworths here.
Yeah. And Jayco Caravans. Jayco, come on board. Come on board, Jayco. We love you.
Yes. Well, one of the gentlemen from one of the trucking associations went over to Jayco, so we'll have to see if he's keen.
Now, Kelsey, it's in the works. We're still ironing out the finer details, but we might be going on the road to a big truck show later this year.
Oh, yeah, Casino Truck Show.
The Casino Truck Show. It's not, we're tying up some loose ends, Rod, but hopefully we'll be there.
Yep.
And Kelsey and I will be there, possibly the Minister for War.
And we'll have possibly some giveaways for the truck show. And Rod, I'm pretty sure we can get you a truck pass. I don't know what that means, to be honest.
Yes, look, I did attend the Casino Truck Show probably 3 or 4 years ago, was invited there and attended and spent the weekend there. And look, it's not impossible. It's in August. So we will see what happens, mate. But yes, it's one of the few things where we get the public along and we get them to come and see the trucks. They look at all the nice, bright, shiny ones, because a lot of people go to a lot of effort to make them look good. Of course, they have a truck show as part of it, judging for best truck and all those sorts of things. So it's quite a big event there in Casino, mate.
They even put the super cheap Auto Maguire's tyre shine on, don't they?
They certainly do, mate. Yes, there's plenty of that used on today. Let alone a lot of polish and a lot of elbow grease.
Yeah, a little bit of turtle wax gets spilt on the day of the Casino Truck Show. Incidentally, National Thank You Wave Day went off with a bang. It will get bigger and better, and hopefully it will gain traction over the years. And thank you so much to James Ward from drive.com.au and Truck Right and the trucking industry, which also embraced it, Rod.
Yes, mate, I managed to do an interview on ABC Dubbo. Spoke to a couple of others, but didn't have any follow-up. And as you say, you've got to start small and grow, and certainly put the idea out there to people. And look, it's not just for one day. We want everybody to do the right thing. But if you can have that day of promotion and awareness, then you hope that people think about it for the rest of the year and do the right thing.
And get a sticker, and you can go to our merch store. Kelsey looks after that. Don't be a wanker, be a thinker.
The rod.
Oh, you got to earn it. Now, what's the competition, Kelsey? How does it work?
Well, you got to spot the rod. So spot Rod's truck, take a photo, send it to us. We'll send you back a sticker, or just call Rod up and he'll let us know. He'll verify whether or not you actually did call him, but just let us know if you spot the rod and where you spotted him. We'll send you a sticker and extra bonus points if you can give us your top safe driving tip for the road.
Yeah, and what really cheeses you off about other drivers so that we can learn? Spot the rod and win yourself a wanker thanker sticker. So there you go, Rod. So people call you up on the UHF, I guess, and make sure that we can verify that they did spot you. They're going to say exactly where and when, and we'll get them a sticker.
Yeah, Yes, and I will be slightly in disguise for this trip. The truck will stand out, and so will the trailers, because it's actually 3 of my 4 original curtains. So when I started, Luke, and I came to Rod Pillen Transport, I said to Rod I'd like to design a set of curtains to promote the industry and road safety, and they said, And so I went ahead and did that. We bought brand new trailers at the time. They're now about 15 years old. So I designed curtains on them, and I actually had a gentleman by the name of Ken Wilkie. He lent me his truck for 2 years. A really big effort from a single truck owner-operator, and I had that for 2 years, and then I designed a new set of curtains for the white truck that I then had. That was a brand new K200. So I've got the original B-double set of trailers on with the second set of curtains fitted, and another A-trailer with one of the original set, which we put on another set of trailers at one stage. So 3 of the 4 sets of curtains are on, and they do stand out. They're getting a little bit old and tired, unfortunately, Luke, but you look at them from a distance, they still put out a message about the industry, and they're probably, at the time, they were the only set of trailers in Australia that promoted the road transport industry and road safety, and that was the idea, Luke. There are blokes that have things on for tractors and dog food and other products which they carry, sort of thing. Their customers pay to get the curtains done, but there was nothing that actually promoted the industry. So they do stand out. They do a good job, and I'm designing a new set currently for this truck.
Spot the Rod, win a sticker. Now, if you do go to the merch store, there are other things that Kelsey and Nathan have organised. There's coffee cups, T-shirts and caps. Now, Rod, do you remember when we used to give away Triple M gear? And there were a number of truckies that said, listen, the T-shirts are great, but, we can only wear them for so long, then they're going to be washed. But he said truckies are more likely to wear the caps every day. So we want some feedback from the truckie fraternity. Do we manufacture more caps than T-shirts?
Yes, and I have we have a cap design half done, so I hope to have that to show to you very soon. Of course, the shirts that we had, it was very sad what happened to the shirts at Triple M. We had them, and I had a lot of people ask about them, of course, but with the demise of the show, somebody at Triple M seems to have acquired or thrown away the shirts that we had done through Truck and Life. That was very sad, so we might have to talk to them and see if they'd like to give another shot and do it again.
I wonder if they're in storage down the bottom.
No, I asked. They said no. Someone chucked them out.
The
swines, 100 grams, yes, very sad.
Anyway. Let's get on with the show. Got a message from Shane. Luke, love the podcast.
Wait,
Keep up
quickly.
What? I'm
Rod, guess what it is
reading
today?
mail.
Rod, guess what it is today?
It is Mother's Day today.
Yeah.
And I won't be there.
That's the big day. There's nothing else happening today that's as important as Mother's Day.
Luke's birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Boner.
It's Mother's Day. Now, the 10th of May is a prick of a day because for 64 years now, it's always Mother's Day is the day. And so, but today, the birthday is actually on Mother's Day. So today is all about Mother's Day. I don't give a rat's about, what is it? Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, Side 2, Track 2.
I don't give it.
Kelsey will work it out. Kelsey will work it out, yeah.
She will, because I haven't got a copy of that in front of me.
Yeah, Side 2, Track 2. Or if you've got the CD, Track 9.
Just tell us.
No, Kelsey, I'm going to leave you to think about it, do some research, and see if by the end of our chat you know what we're talking about.
I'm not going to do that.
Just Google Sgt. Pepper's playlist. Anyway, a message from Shane. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Long-time listener, met Yogi, Outback Truckers, Rod. Met Yogi at our depot. He is doing a 50 years photo shoot for our company, Granite Belt Fruit Freighters, for the Trucking Life magazine. He's a really top bloke, good to talk to. Cheers, Shane, the Summit, Queensland. We need to get Yogi back. I thought Yogi was fantastic.
Yes, and he's quite likely to be at Casino as well, mate. Truck and Life at most of the truck shows now. So we'll have to catch up with him before there. I also had one bloke call up and say he'd seen the truck on TikTok, and another who said, I was just listening to you on the podcast. I said, I hope you're enjoying it. And a couple of Facebook comments from people who have followed. I still get get the odd one who says, missed you on the radio, and I say, oh, you're aware of the podcast. And actually, I was talking to a lady at a truck stop the other day. And she said, oh, I'm really interested in that sort of stuff. She said, what's the name of it? I said, Bonafide. Oh, she said, I'll have a listen to that. So we'll see, mate. But yes, it's certainly growing and getting good feedback. There are a couple of negative nannies out there, but geez, you can't please all of the people all of the time.
And you're being a fool to yourself and a burden to others if you try. Just
Yes.
stop trying. Don't try. Just do your best. And if the naysayers want to have a crack, we'll let them have a crack. I don't give a rat's.
Go their hardest.
Go your hardest. But I dare you, leave your name and your contact details and we'll have a chat.
Many, many years ago, Luke,
Yeah.
a gentleman wrote into a trucking magazine,
Yeah.
and he said, why are you on the radio? Why are you in the magazine? Why are you doing this, that, and the other? And I said, mate, I'm more than happy for you to step up. You know, what have you done? Get involved, you know. I'm more than happy for you to bring in and take part, mate. Of course, he went really quiet for about 2 years, had another go at me, and I said the same. What have you done to promote the industry? Like, I don't claim to be an expert or perfect or anything like that, but I'm very passionate, and I've been called other things as well. But I do things with the best intent, and of course, you know, we started off with the room that if we can save one life, if we can prevent one crash through better awareness and understanding, through more rest areas, then, mate, everything after that, to me, is a bonus.
A Luke bonus. Can I just say that?
Well played.
Okay. Now, Kelsey, you'll have to take over here. There's a comment on the video of me getting out of your truck in Dubbo and failing. Now, what's going on here, Kelsey?
This is one that we posted ages ago, but somebody commented something that I really have no idea what he's talking about.
Stop
But I
yawning.
thought would ask you, Rod. He said, as the son of a trucker, I've always had the obsession of COEs, but I have never experienced one, and I've been told they ride like lumber wagon.
Right, so COE is cab over engine. We just call them cab over.
Cab over, as opposed to a
Right, so
bonnet.
bonnet or a conventional, they call them in America. So, yes, and they ride like lumber wagons because lumber wagons really don't have any suspension under them back in the day. So, because you were sitting right over the top of the wheel, one of our 3 points, Luke, we discussed, why would you have a bonneted truck, is, of course, the ride in a conventional. You sit between the wheels instead of over the steer wheel, and conventional generally
And you got a
ride
bit
better.
more. And you got a bit more protection in an accident.
That's right, yes. And if you break down, you can go to bed instead of having the cab up and you stand there in the rain.
Exactly. I've got to say this, though. Your truck, your Kenworth, was the most comfortable truck I've ever been in.
Yes, they're not too bad. I've got to say the new
He
K220.
didn't get it, did he, Kelsey? Your truck was the only
Yes,
truck.
I do. I know, Luke. I was ignoring that. Yes. Look, they've got better over the years, and the new K220 actually has airbags under the cab, which is something that's happened many years ago. Like, normally, Luke, the cabin of the truck is hard mounted, even on a conventional. Right, so it's mounted on rubber blocks, and your bonnet moves up and down. It tilts so you can get to the engine. And if you've got a sleeper, normally it's bolted onto the back of the cabin of the truck as such. And many years ago, someone decided that they would put an airbag. They put a rail right through from the front, and the cabin and the sleeper sit on a rail, and at the back of those rails are a tiny little pair of airbags. And I talked to a gentleman who bought a Ford LTL back in the day, a big truck, and they were hard mounted, and they came up with a modification. You could take your truck back into a Ford dealer and they put it on the airbags, and he said it was the best money he'd ever spent on anything on a truck in his whole life. Changed the ride completely, and of course the conventionals have been able to do it for many years. The European trucks, Luke, I've got to say, Benzes, Volvos, Scanias, Mercedes, they all ride a lot softer. They sway a bit more. And Kenworth have had to catch up, and the new K220 has airbags under the cabin, and they do ride a lot better because it is the roads are a problem, Luke. And look, I was talking to a lady during the week about a section of the Newell Highway, a couple of bridge culverts, and I said, look, go and drive over it in your car, but you've got to multiply the impact you feel by about 10 in a truck. Because in a car, you've got a suspension that is carrying simply the weight of the car, a tonne and a bit. Let's say it's 2 if you're in something a bit bigger. But our suspensions are designed for the truck as it sits on its own, but then to carry the weight of another 8 or 9 tonne on the drive, and the same with the trailers. They obviously carry the trailer itself, but they're designed to carry, like 5 times the weight of the unit itself. And so they're designed for both, but they're more effective when they're loaded. But even then, you're talking about serious weight, and the impacts are so much higher on a scale than a car that that's part of the problem. They send somebody out in a car, what's wrong with you blokes? This road's all right. And, of course, here we are bouncing up and down, and we haven't got shockies falling off, and maintenance costs have gone through the roof. And part of it is because the people that build and maintain the roads never travel in a truck to see it from our point of view.
Good point. Hey, listen, we've got a message from... It's a bit lengthy. I'll try and paraphrase. Hey, team, been listening to you guys since you started, and Luke since before the Triple M night shift boot. Miss the live talks for sure, and I don't catch them as usually I'm asleep when you guys go live. But I wanted to ask Rod about his thoughts specifically on smaller trucks under the 4.5 GVM as to why, A, we'll go through this, we'll go through a couple of points because there's a fair bit here.
Yep.
A, they can load up well beyond their weight limits and not have any consequences for doing so 99% of the time because they can bypass all the weigh bridges as it's technically a car. Do you want to address that first?
Yes, Luke. So, look, in the past, and I had a gentleman in the truck many years ago from the NTC, the National Transport Commission, and at the time, a vehicle under 12 tonne was not deemed to be a heavy vehicle. And there was a specific reason for that. Most trucks themselves, the prime mover without a trailer on, weighs between 10 and 12 tonne, for simplicity. Someone's going to say mine's lighter, and yes, it may well be. But in those days, 12 tonne was sort of an outer limit for a prime mover, so technically you could drive your prime mover where you cannot carry a load on the back. You've got a turntable there, and once you put a trailer on, you put a load on it, but you couldn't put a load on the truck. Therefore, it was not deemed a heavy vehicle. That's the way the law was designed. So I could drive my prime mover if it was my show truck, for example, Luke, and, we're talking about truck shows, so you've got an old truck, you've done it up, you could drive it legally without a logbook. Now, over the years, that's changed. You'll see at the weighbridge now, it says 8 tonne, and in the current Heavy Vehicle National Law Review, and specifically for this purpose, what we're talking about here, that weight's been brought down to 4.5 tonne. Now, at one stage, Luke, I had tea at a roadhouse at Avenel. Fella came over, said, "G'day, how you going?" "Good." I said, "Oh, what do you do, mate?" "Oh, I cart caravans." So he has a smaller rated gross weight truck,
right,
and all he does is put the caravan on the back, then he tows one behind.
Yeah.
He was not required to comply with any laws regarding to trucks. And he said, "Oh, I drive 20 hours a day, mate."
Yeah.
So, that meant that someone in a little truck could go and compete with a big truck. They didn't have to comply with the logbook. They didn't have to have yearly inspections. They didn't have to be generally in and into a weighbridge and be weighed. So, look, there's a big thing in the States started probably 5, maybe a little bit more, maybe 10 years ago when I went over for my Churchill Fellowship. They were starting to get... a bloke will go and buy a Chevy Silverado or similar, a Ram or whatever it is, and they put a trailer on the back and they compete with the road transport industry. So they compete with a bloke that's gone and bought a Peterbilt, and they can put, one little tractor on the back and something like that. And it has happened here as well because of that weight restriction, because of the compliance issues, because of the penalties, Luke. And again, we've spoken about there are so many penalties that are involved in what we do that have very little to do with road safety, like failing to tick a box in your logbook, and someone goes and buys a smaller truck, competes for the industry, can't cart as much weight, obviously, but they still carry freight and don't have to do all that compliance. So he's saying, why is it at 4.5 tonne? There is two sides to it again. If you've got your motorhome or your caravan, and, some of them now with those bigger things, and they're called fifth wheelers, where you buy a great big American ute and you go and put like a semi-trailer caravan on. Has a kingpin at the front and then the wheels at the back, as opposed to the caravan. Normally you've got the A-frame goes onto the tow bar on the back of your car and the wheels in the centre. So things like that are getting up around that weight. If you go and buy an old bus and you go and do it up as a motorhome, then some of those, obviously breach that weight as well. And there were licensing requirements as well. So they brought it down over the years from 12, and I must admit it's a problem if you want to drive your prime mover now. We'll come back to that. Then it went to 8, and now it's down to 4.5. So they believe that's a reasonable break point.
A UHF isn't just an accessory. It's a lifeline. It's exactly why I'm stoked to have GME on the Bonafide podcast. They're the only Australian manufacturer of UHF CB radios and emergency beacons, operating right out of a purpose-built HQ in Sydney. You want to know how many locals they keep in steady work? 250. And the gear they build doesn't just keep the Bonafide family safe on the road. It's engineered specifically to handle the bull dust, the corrugations, and the longest hauls you can throw at it. If you love Truckie Tuesday, back the brand that backs us. Head over to gme.net.au. That's gme.net.au. Links are in the description. Let's get back to the chat. Okay. Now, I'm going to have to introduce that message again because whenever I do live radio, people will send in emails, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll say, oh, here's an email from Barry from Auburn. And you read the email, and at the very end, the last thing they write on the email is, please don't mention my name. And they put it at the end. So this guy has written this email, this message, and then he's gone, a lot of us listen to your podcast. I want to stay anonymous, so don't use my name. But he's put it at the end. So I'm going to do that. I'll just we got this message from someone who wants to remain anonymous, and this is how it goes. Some of the boys from work listen to your pod, so if you could change my name or keep this anonymous, that'd be amazing. And he's put it at the end. And
he obviously thought you were going to pre-read it, Luke.
I know. Well, Kelsey's cut and pasted and put it up there. Anyway, next. Got this message, and we're going to keep this person anonymous. And this is in response to Clayton, who said truckies fear other truckies, so another anonymous. Mm-hmm. Personally, I don't fear other truck drivers. However, there was, as little as 10 years ago, a professional respect amongst drivers on the road that no longer exists or is rarely shown. We used to work together on the roads to help keep our trucks moving. Simple things like backing off when being overtaken, waiting your turn in a queue, warning other drivers over the UHF of issues, turning headlights off in a DC when a truck reversing to stop the glare. Just a mutual respect. I guess the best way to describe it is we worked together to keep the trucks moving. And there used to be a pecking order, it says. That's gone now. It's become a cutthroat industry where it's a mentality of get out of my way, my truck needs to be somewhere and you're stopping me. Truck drivers could once pride themselves on professionalism and courtesy. No more. We are looked upon as the menaces on the road and incompetent. Your thoughts?
We have been looked on that way by the public for a long time because they don't know any better, and we as an industry have not educated them properly. Again, many years ago, Luke, I did a spot on an ABC radio program when I first started, and I said to the lady, we'll talk about trucks and things, and she said, oh, yeah, and I said, between now and next week, I want you to look at all the trucks on the road. And she said, oh, okay, yeah, righto. So, of course, next week, I ring back. God, they're everywhere. I never realised how many trucks were on the road because the ones that simply do the right thing, you don't see them. They're just another vehicle. The one that does the wrong thing, the one that tailgates you or pulls out in front of you or does something wrong, oh, you bloody trucks, you're in me way, rah, 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 hold you up. So, unfortunately, it's the one that promotes the bad that everybody talks about. It's the let's hope, and that's why we're involved in the Knights of the Road campaign to recognise those that do the right thing And that's why you and I, Luke, try and put out a positive message that we want blokes to recognise that what they do on the road, and of course the sticker is going to say exactly that. You either be a thanker, you be professional, you be courteous, you let people in, you give them a wave of thanks when they let you in, or you be a wanker. And then you make it worse, and then people just give us a hard time. And look, I understand that people in cars think they're entitled at times. They're in a hurry. They've got to be somewhere too. It's not just us that have it, but we are the ones that are being paid either by the hour or the kilometre. We're the ones away from home. We're the ones living in a 6 foot by 6 foot box. That is our kitchen, lounge, bedroom, dining, workplace, blah, blah, blah. So but I understand what he's saying, and either his attitude wins and everybody goes downhill and it gets worse, or our attitude gains momentum and we get people to think for 1 second before they do something that's a bit doubtful or a bit dodgy. And look, it could be regarding safety, and there's a bloody video out at the moment where a truck is travelling down the highway. There's a truck on the left-hand side has pulled straight out in front. And, of course, he's had to brake heavily and avoid the truck because the bloke pulled out. Now, then there was a bit of an altercation on the radio. And, again, Luke, we're going to cop a bit of flack. The bloke who pulled out was not from Australia, based on his accent. And he, of course, abused the truck that he pulled out in front of, which is pretty silly. So you either try your best and you increase the professionalism and you increase the mateship and you do your bit to continue it, or you whinge a bitch about it and it gets worse. Your call.
But we've got to keep the brotherhood and the sisterhood alive. And it is, and the simple lesson is common courtesy. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, to quote a famous person.
Absolutely.
Who died last Easter.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you follow those rules in life.
Yes.
And you're through to the semis without dropping a set.
Yep. It's not hard either. Look, it doesn't raise a sweat, doesn't cost you any muscle tension, and generally it can make driving on the road easier. Letting someone through, giving them a wave, thanks mate, sorry about that, instead of, you bastard, and of course, your blood pressure goes through the roof, and yes, in America they get out and shoot you, so we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. Now, some news. The Federal Shadow Transport Minister has implored the federal government to redesign the road user charge to include electric vehicle owners in a new look model. He was speaking at the Transport Australia Transforming Transport Summit. We're talking about Senator Bridget McKenzie, who's called on Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers to fix key issues with the RUC. You should never waste a crisis. We need to seize the chance now, she says. And she's encouraging Jim Chalmers to seize the mantle of reform. She says now is the time he could actually do it. Your thoughts?
And it's wider than just the electric vehicles, Luke. So at the moment we pay the road user charge. The industry believe it pays more than its fair share for using the roads. We're not the only ones that use them. Yes, we carry freight, but that freight is to all of those people using the roads as well. So the current system is we pay that based on what they have spent on roads.
Right.
The new system is saying, well, that's no good. It's behind the times. There's a problem that trucks are more efficient. We've now got B doubles and we've now got A doubles. So instead of having lots more trucks where we can charge you more for rego and more for fuel excise, we've got less trucks and they're more efficient and they're pulling more trailers and we need more money for the roads because of the weights and loads. Now, they're saying we want to project forward as to what we are going to spend, and we're going to charge you that in advance. Now, in one way, Luke, there is there's been discussion on this for probably well over 5 years now, and they were talking about a per kilometre tonne charge. So it would be a fee based on how many kilometres you do, how many tonnes you carry, and then you would pay that to the government. Now, if you look at the Hume Highway, Luke, it's pretty much built, 4 lanes, finally, We're now through right all the way, if you extend it, through up the Pacific Highway to Brisbane. So, with the Coffs Harbour bypass and Singleton eventually, you'll have 4 lanes from Melbourne to Sydney and then to Brisbane. Now, that road has a lot of trucks on it. Now, most of that money's been spent. But if you want to go to Bullamakanka or Wheelabarabak and there's only 2 trucks a year go there, and they say, well, those 2 trucks should pay $10,000 a kilometre to drive out there because we might need to fix that road next year, people at Wheelabarabak are going to have a real problem buying anything because they're not going to be able to afford it.
Yes.
So...
Yeah.
It's something where they've got to come up with a solution that, yes, it's going to have to be balanced. You can't say, righto, all the trucks on the Hume, because it's fixed, they don't have to pay anything. But if you drive anywhere else in Australia, you've got to pay $10,000 a kilometre or something ridiculous. And then, of course, they've got to get that money out of the industry in a reasonable way. You have to put your kilometres in. How many tonne do you carry? You imagine trying to keep those records. And then back in the days of road tax, Luke, there were people who were creative in their accounting, and they might have just forgot that they did that trip last week and the one before and the one before and the one before that. Yeah. And therefore, how are they going to get that money? The next extension is, as you say, electric vehicles, not just trucks. The cars are getting a free ride at the moment. They're still using the roads. The roads still have to be built and maintained, and they're not contributing to that. That's got to be fixed and properly.
I would like very much to get Senator Bridget McKenzie on a Truckie Tuesday segment, and we'll work on that, okay?
We will, mate. I have spoken to her and her office over time. So, look, their view is to fix it, but, of course, just telling the government to fix it is like saying, Luke, you should win the lotto on your birthday. Yeah. And, it's a lovely thought.
I'm working on it.
We want something constructive.
I'm working on it. Mind you, I suppose you've got to buy a ticket first.
You do.
I'm just going sideways here. Can you believe how many people get scammed when they get an email telling them that they've won a lottery and they've got to log on with their details and they haven't even entered the lottery that they think they've won?
Yes.
Can you believe that people? I guess if you try 500,000 people, if 2 people get sucked in, you're ahead.
Yes. And what was it? $30 million scammed out of Australians last year.
More.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Luke, that is absolutely rich. You have opened clear scam articles thinking it was real news. So you do get off that high.
No, I did it. No. Listen, Kelsey, I've learnt my lesson since Nathan. And if I see obviously bullshit clickbait, I type the story into my search engine to see other sources. And I don't ever do it anymore, Kelsey. Never again. I will never be caught out again.
I don't believe it.
Learned your lesson.
Oh, I'm telling you, it hasn't happened since, Kelsey. So just get back in your box, okay? Put some makeup on. If you're coming to breakfast, get ready. The Australian Trucking Association has responded to some ongoing concerns about driver behaviour, including distraction, unsafe lane changes and a lack of understanding about the space trucks required to operate safely. Here we go again. The ATA, the Australian Trucking Association, announced the relaunch of its iconic Safe T360 campaign. You got Truck Week coming up soon, and the Australian Trucking Association has announced the relaunch of its iconic Safe T360 campaign. When's Truck Week?
Truck Week is the 11th to the 19th of May. It's the first time it's been run outside of the Brisbane Truck Show for a number of years. Now, I did badger, ring, email, jump up and down, yell and scream to the ATA a few years ago and said, we have nothing to promote the industry, we should do Truck Week. Now, in America, it's phenomenal over there. It's very, very big. Mate, they have carrying the wreaths, they have carrying the Christmas tree around America.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, they do phenomenal things. And I said, we need to do something. So the ATA did it, said it was too hard at the time. Then we started having Truck Week as part of the Brisbane Truck Show. It only goes for the week of the show itself, but the show's only every 2 years. And the Heavy Vehicle Industry Association, who are the group that do organise and promote the Brisbane Truck Show, have said, well, we think that we should have truck show each year, and we're going to start it off on a small basis. So, if you have a truck yard, you can invite people in and talk to them about the industry.
Yeah,
you can have a
good idea.
barbecue for your drivers. You can get on the radio and tell people about the industry. You can do anything like that yourself. Or your company can be involved. They do have a big list of people who have nominated to do things. I'll be launching our Knights of the Road campaign where I can get a chance to get my bib in somewhere. And, of course, they've relaunched the T360 campaign. Now, Luke, I'm going to be very modest and honest and say that the ATA have had a number of trailers over the years. The first one was called the SET. S-E-T, and that was funded by a gentleman by the name of Albert Hunt. He put a lot of money into it, and it was towed around by Volvo. I actually had it in Dubbo. I took it to the shopping centre and to a couple of schools in Dubbo, and it was called the Safety Education Trailer, and that ran for a number of years. Eventually, the ATA got some funding, and they built their own state-of-the-art trailer, and it had actually 10 things in it. Now, those 10 things, Luke, and look, at the time I said to the ATA, geez, it would have been really nice if you'd have recognised the fact that those top tips are the ones that I've been promoting for the last 10 years. They just seemingly forgot that. But the trailer was out. It had all these things in it, looking at the Truckie's top 10 tips for sharing the road. Now, again, I didn't want money. I didn't want anything other than the fact that, by the way, Rod Hannafy came up with these first, and we're using them. But the new one they built some years ago, it had virtual reality headsets in it.
Right.
So the old set, you used to stand sort of halfway back the trailer. They had 3 television screens in front of you. One was out the windscreen. The other two, one on either side, was the mirrors. And you all sort of stood there, and occasionally you'd get a turn at the steering wheel of the truck, and it was done via video. So it was very good for its time. The next one was done up with all virtual reality headsets, and after the games were done, you'd sit there and play one game about how the load moves and all that sort of thing, and sharing the road. It was promoted very heavily. But look, the ATA as an industry association don't employ truck drivers. They had people that coordinated the trailer. It went to industry events, and now, as it says there, the Steering the Future group, which is Yogi and his wife Amanda and Craig and his wife Colette, now have that trailer, and they have support from industry associations, and they go to truck shows and they promote the industry and road safety. They try and encourage young people into the industry, and it's good that they've now taken that on, taken the mantle from the ATA, although the ATA is obviously supporting it, and they made a full-time job out of it, going to events and shows. And I actually saw them last time I went to Perth. They were pulled up at Nullarbor on their way over to the Mac Muster in Perth, and they go around to shows and events and promote the industry, and I'm sure that we will see them at Casino should we all get there.
Should we all get there? That'd be great. Now, just lastly, the VTA, the Victorian Transport Association, is hoping that the federal government will announce something a little bit enticing in the way of the Australian Fuel Security and Resilience Package. The details will be in the federal budget on Tuesday. What are you hoping for?
Well, mate, of course, we all said that we're supposed to have our 90-day supply. We haven't. I've heard talk of much fuel being confirmed and locked in for supply into the future. We all hoped that the war was going to finish quickly, and it's not, and it's dragging on. And you can either believe Donald one day or Iran the next, and I don't think either of them knows what day it is and what they want, and they're not going to agree very easily. So, mate, this could be a real future problem. I've heard manufacturers coming out and saying you're going to have to brace yourself because these cumulative costs are finally getting through to people, to getting through to products, and they're going to start seeing it in the stores. I do hope that somebody monitors that carefully so that people don't cheat the system and grab more that they're entitled to because of the rise in costs. We as an industry have fought long and hard to get cost recovery for fuel, and yes, we finally got something through. And mate, we're hoping that there's going to be enough to go around, because it's not just us, it's the mining industry, it's the farming industry, And Luke, I don't know whether you've heard, at this stage I believe it's 2/3 of New South Wales is currently deemed in drought. There are farmers who are trying to decide whether to plant crops. If they don't, we're going to have a real issue. And again, Luke, whether it's clickbait, I did see a post come up last night about the Hoover Dam in America running out of water. Have you seen anything
No, I
about
haven't.
that?
I'll look into it.
Mate, it's looking very, very serious for electricity and for farming in America. So please check that out.
I will.
Because, of course, they're one of the people that we compete with for products. And if we fail, normally they fill in and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it could be a pretty scary future there, Luke.
All right, I'll look into that. I'll have more on that next time we chat, and we'll know more about what will happen in the budget, which is coming down next Tuesday. As I said, we'll have more to say on all of that. All right, look, once again, thank you to our sponsors, GME, the only Australian manufacturers of CB UHF radios. Rod, you love them.
I certainly do, mate. I have both. I have a CB in the truck and I have two UHFs. One's normally on 24 because on the back of my trailers I'm involved in a promotion. And look, we talk a lot about mental health. It's something that was overlooked in the industry. I was actually driving into a cotton gin in Gundawindi and the St George Institute had done some research onto mental health of truck drivers. It's something that had never been discussed before. There's been a lot changed since. There are trailers out that promote mental health in the industry, but on the back of the set I normally tow, it says the open road is an ideal place to open up. Call Rod on UHF 24. So it'll probably go back to 18 for the trip to Perth. I'm about to go and fit a BA thanker, not a wanker sticker to the back of the trailers.
Good.
Keep an eye out and give us a call.
Yep.
Promote the positive and ignore the negative.
Yep, spot the Rod. Let Rod know that you've seen him, that he's seen you, and you'll win a Don't Be a Wanker, Be a Thanker National Thank You Wave Day bona fide sticker. So spot the Rod, win with a sticker. Stick with the winner and win with a sticker.
Very quick, Luke, very quick.
Oh, it's an oldie. That's an oldie, that one. I had that one loaded in the rifle already. Right, Hannafy, always good to talk. 10-4, good buddy.
10-4, good buddy, and safe travelling to all, Luke. Happy birthday and happy Mother's Day to all the mother truckers out there.
Very good. Well done. Well, that's it. A big, massive cheer for the folk at GME. Thank you for keeping the Aussie transport industry talking. It's engineered specifically to handle the bull dust, the corrugations, and the longest hauls you can throw at it. Head over to gme.net.au. That's gme.net.au. Links are in the description, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to pestrol.com.au, and we love you. And we love you folks for listening. Please continue to give us feedback. Go to the merch store, bonafidepod.com. Get yourself a Wanker Thanker sticker or a coffee cup or a T-shirt or a cap or whatever it is Kelsey's got up her sleeve. We would love to involve you.
So, Luke, you are 64 now.
Yeah, Sergeant Pepper, Side 2, Track 2.
You're getting pretty old. Are you too old for anything these days?
Absolutely.
What?
Giving a shit.
Oh, good one. Bye.
Bye. Love your faces.
Not mine.
Well, that's us for another one. But before you go, don't spend another night laying awake listening to things moving in the ceiling and the walls. If you want that peace of mind, well, get on the front foot and head to pestrol.com.au. Like I said, I've known Andrew for over 20 years, way over 20 years, as a matter of fact. He's a good mate, he's a good man, and his gear actually works. Otherwise, I wouldn't endorse it. If it's crawling, flying, or chewing, or messing up your bathroom, talking to you,
Hey.
Pestrol has the answer. Is there a product called Kelsby Gone? Grab what you need. Remember, this is important. Use the code BONA, B-O-N-A, to get your free delivery. And it helps us keep the lights on here at the show. Stay safe.